thing?
Yeah, look how cool it is.
Oh yeah, of course you do. I drew a shot.
Am I looking at you guys when we're talking, by the way?
Wherever you want, mate.
Yeah.
Deep.
You
Deep
look at the
into
ceiling
my
if you
eyes.
want.
Yeah,
It's entirely up to you.
Yeah, ignore the camera.
When I have my
the red
crash.
We can include all this because this is the best bit sometimes.
Aye.
I've drawn a shark. You're still the shark, right? Even despite current things going on in the...
Yeah, well, I'm probably better in the sea than I am on land at the moment.
Welcome to the Daryl Brown episode. Thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, boy.
So
think
we've got to do a intro because we always get straight into conversation and we don't do intros.
No
enough.
context.
Yeah, and
Zero
it's difficult,
context.
isn't it?
Yeah,
and it's even harder when it's one of your mates. It's like, like introducing one of your mates is quite weird.
Yeah,
because you just think of them as your mate. But you are one of the UK's best free riders, big jump specialist.
Thank you. Yeah.
How else can I do it?
World
Not at the
record holder. World record holder.
World record holder.
Yeah, you've
yes.
got one of those, haven't you?
YouTuber.
Yeah.
Yeah, YouTuber.
In a light term. Yeah.
Light YouTuber.
Light-
I like that. Light
YouTube Lite.
YouTube
Yeah,
Lite.
yeah.
What else we got? Yeah.
Lead rider on white bikes. Let's say it.
Yeah, could be that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Been within the most time out of everyone. That counts as lead rider, doesn't it?
There you go. There you
There
go.
you go.
Welcome to the studio,
Thank you.
which you have pointed out is an asbestos shed. Yes.
It is a fantastic studio. It's
Cool,
nice.
isn't
It
Yeah,
looks
yeah,
good.
yeah.
At least
Nice.
it looks good from that angle.
Yeah,
As
from
far
what
as
they
you can see.
Yeah, exactly.
Behind the scenes, it's
Yeah.
edgy, but we're okay.
Now, I find it super hard to not instantly talk about your injury because
Yeah.
your crutch is there, and
You saw me hobbling.
and we've literally just watched the horrific video. But I feel like it's important to steer conversation first. You agree, Davey?
I agree. We need context. of
Yeah,
everything.
because and I think if we start at the very beginning, people always it's interesting, dude.
Talk
Yeah.
about the birthing canal.
Yeah, exactly. Where it all started, how you were birthed into mountain biking.
Well, starting from the beginning, I've been a professional mountain biker for a very long time, I think.
How old are you now?
32.
Are you really?
Personal
Yeah,
question.
yeah.
Wow.
So basically the same age as Reynolds and Pilgrim,
Right.
and always been riding bikes at the same time, really.
Yeah,
Apart
yeah,
from,
yeah.
I think, Pilgrim and Sam were always a little bit before my time. So
Okay.
I remember, reading MBUK and looking at Leopard Head and being like, oh my God, this guy's so
Leopard
good.
Head.
Like, how could anyone be that good? And then, ended up being best friends with both of them. I moved next to Sam Pilgrim for a year, lived in Colchester.
I forgot that.
Yeah. So the
Was that on
wife,
purpose or was it?
not really. The wife got a job out of uni with a company that was based that way, and it was kind of like it's such a good opportunity for her in the field of work that she wanted to do.
Yeah.
It was like, do you want to move to Colchester? I was like, actually, definitely not. I won't say what I think, but no, I don't want to move to Colchester. And then she's like, well, Sam does live there, and I'm like, I guess it's a point. And at that time, I think it was 2016 and 17.
Okay.
That was all my life revolved around is going to a contest, coming home, eating sweets and chilling out, or whatever you do when you're that young. You don't take it that seriously, do you?
So it's solely dirt jump. You started riding just dirt jump or park or what?
I did a lot of skate park actually.
Yeah.
I was kind of like a park specialist. I
Yeah.
remember doing 540s and quarters, and I loved that sort of thing. But mainly it was dirt jumping. Then it moved into slopestyle as dirt jumping got kind of stale, or you've ridden 3 jumps in a row, the last 10 competitions in a row, and then
You know
someone
what
builds-
Chick Sands looks like, right?
Yeah. Which materialised into slopestyle. Did that for many years, and then that also you get bored with that, don't you? And then that materialised into bigger bikes, downhill bikes, e-bikes, every aspect of riding. And I think to this day now I still love every aspect as much as the first. I love the dirt jump bike. Sometimes don't get on it as much as what I wanted to, but then you get on an e-bike and
So
you're like,
Eastbourne,
yeah,
that's where you're from, right?
yeah.
So
yeah.
what's the riding you grew up doing was skate park, dirt jump. AD Bright used to have a spot.
Never heard of that.
I swear he did it. I swear it's Eastbourne.
I
There's
don't
a
know
dirt jump
Eastbourne.
spot.
No. So
know Eastbourne.
Eastbourne we had Sidley Woods and stuff, which was
Really?
Hastings Way, which is where the
Right.
Source Park is now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a massive BMX scene in Hastings, and I always used to get ripped for being at skate parks and a mountain bike, go back to the mountains and stuff like that.
It used to be bad, huh?
Yeah, it used to be really bad, and
Yeah.
now all of them ride mountain bike. It's way better.
Yeah. It is funny seeing some of them, isn't it? Because you see
and
a
you're
few.
like, I recognise you. You used to be really horrible to me. And then he's just like riding a mountain bike at a skate park at a Corby or something like that. But yeah, Eastbourne. So we don't really have a huge amount there, but we do have Friston Woods, which is like near the Seven Sisters, near Beachy Head, which is a super famous spot. I think it's the second most suicide spot to Sandford Bridge.
Oh.
Is it really?
Yeah, it's quite bad.
That's quite a gnarly fact to just drop.
Yeah,
You got a
just
cheery
throw
one
it
as
in
well.
But it's a beautiful place. That's
you
one of
go.
my favourite places to spend time.
Yeah.
So yeah, we have lots of cool stuff around there. But yeah, Friston Forest is like the sort of e-bike traily place really. And then Bull Track, where I coach at, that's like 30 minutes inland. And that's like a proper bike park. So that is my closest real bike park.
Growing up, Pork as well.
Pork, before it got closed down, so that was where I spent all my time in the quarry training for contests.
That's where I remember you from first, Pork.
Yeah, that was really good, wasn't it?
Wasn't it?
So upset to see that gone.
Yeah, absolutely. Some of the biggest jumps I did, like, you know, the butterfly feeling you get when you're younger and you're doing something that's like way too big. I remember that from Pork. It was like the famous step up. I had some concussions at Pork.
I think I might have done a 4-cross race at Pork. Was there a 4-cross track?
There was,
yeah.
And that was a gnarly 4-cross track, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Really
high
fast.
speed.
Yeah, really fast.
Yeah, is it the one that had like a split lane with a pro line on the left-hand side? Is that one?
Quite possibly.
Oh, I can't remember.
I don't know.
They probably
Pork was
all
just
have that.
flat
So this
out.
is the worst description of a 4-cross track ever.
I just remember it being, the jumps being so big on a hardtail. You're going so fast, and they always had like rain ruts in them, and you're just like,
I do remember
don't really
that
know where
spot.
to go.
Do you remember that spot?
And all our bikes would have been not
So
very
crap.
good. Yeah.
So crap.
Really bad, like triple rings on the front
Yeah.
and stuff. And you're just cranking down like a chalky.
I had a DMR Psychic then.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, we were teamies for a while, weren't we? As well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
been on
Really?
DMR as well with you. Yeah.
Do you remember your first memory then of Daryl?
Of Daryl.
Yeah, that's always a good one.
No, I don't. I just remember I remember becoming aware of you at Pork.
Do you remember being annoyed by me at some point when I was young and hyperactive?
No doubt, of
Who's
course.
this little kid being so annoying?
No, I just remember Pork, because Pork was like, it used to be on the, was it King of Dirt back then?
Yeah.
King of Dirt, and they used to do contests there. And I was probably, I mean, I'm a bit older than you, and I did a short stint doing contests, and I was probably over it by then, and like amazed at how dialed everyone was, as I'm sure you feel about slopestyle now.
100%. Yeah, watching the runs, a day or two ago, it's like,
What
it's like it's a full-time job in itself. Like being a pro rider and then competing at slopestyle, you have to train every single day. And just as I was easing off it, it felt the same there, but to the point where now it's like even more so. Like,
Tell you what, I watched a little bit of Innsbruck actually, and did you see any of it? Emil's run at the end. Holy shit! It was like my man. What was his name? It was already. It was Godjek. It was Godjek was leading. And it felt like there was no pressure on Emil. There was, the weight of the world was kind of on his shoulders. But he was just like super chill. He's like laughing when he sat at the top, and then just dropped that.
the hammers.
Yeah, just as if it's nothing. He's like, he's put this in there, he's put that in there. It was just there in his bag, and he just could like put it in.
First jump was wild, wasn't it? Was it a 3 triple whip? But like you're used to seeing him dialed. That was like as wild as you see him, wasn't it?
Yeah,
because there's so many whips. You're like, it's so erratic. But then when he lands, it's like, dunk.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's impressive.
Super impressive.
I'm glad I'm not doing that now, really, because it'd be a lot of work.
I hear a lot of slopestyle people say that. Like any time I talk to Sam about it or whatever, he's just like, after doing it for so long, because you did a lot of it, right?
Oh, that's loads, yeah. Like
how many years?
I don't know, without just speculating, which we're good at. But I mean, 10 years of it. I'm like going everywhere. New Zealand, China. Won fees China back to back 2 years in a row, which is cool because that was in Chengdu, a super weird place.
That's right.
Oh, wow.
I'll never forget that. Like the first year I went, it was like quite elevated on the side of the hill, and it was like actually you had to brake a lot for a slopestyle course, which was kind of unheard of at the time. You're just running a back brake, and I loved it because it was so techy and hard, and no one could do very well. And I was just like, cool, brake here, do this here. I think that was 2016, and it was so smoggy. If you're starting at the top, you could not see the bottom of the course.
Really?
And everyone's walking around with masks on because of how not populated, polluted it was.
Wuhan, no.
Chengdu. And I'm just like, honestly, when you're breathing hard, it felt like you was behind an exhaust of a car.
Really?
And that was at the point when it was really bad, I think. But yeah, it was a cool experience. Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah,
I didn't know it was that bad if you're out there.
Yeah, I mean, it goes through stages, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Depending on
yeah.
what's going on and when it last rained or whatever. But yeah.
Jeez.
So what was the contest like to you back then? It wasn't obviously a job then. There's always a sort of like that point when it becomes a job almost, isn't there? Like, because obviously King of Dirt, you're not doing it because there's big prize money or anything.
No.
You're doing it because it's just fun.
Yeah.
In the UK.
Well, as we were talking about China, that was one of my first pretty big wins, and that was $8,000
Yeah.
when I won that, and I had a bonus scheme at the time. So I actually got $10,000 from a weekend of biking, and I was like, "Whoa, that's actually
Yeah.
what do I do?"
When's the next one?
Yeah. So that was really good for me, but yeah, like you said, prize money in the UK for unfortunately is not a lot. But saying that, when you see the level of the guys that are riding King of Dirt at the moment, they deserve to have the
runs
prize
are
money.
proper, aren't they?
Insane. Yeah, like super gnarly.
Can you watch UK like dirt jump comps
On Instagram.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I was trying to figure out because obviously they do King of Dirt still, right?
Yeah, Dirt Wars.
Dirt Wars, sorry, Dirt Wars.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I didn't know if you could watch it. Is it like if it's on YouTube or anything like that, just to watch it?
Yeah, it costs so much to make them live.
Yeah,
and it's weird because there is a lot of participation in dirt jumping, and like when I watch those runs, I just think, where are you riding?
Yeah.
Like, you're so good,
And not heard of that person without being rude. Like, you've not heard of them. You see a video of them, you're like, wow, that's impressive. Like, what a skill that you've got, you know?
Definitely. You know, with your like slopestyle career and stuff, where do you think that jump was, where it went from being at this next level that it seems to have stepped up? Like, what year is that?
Probably like 16, 17 or 15, like all mixed in it. So I was on a UK brand, I was on Identity.
Yeah.
And I was getting a little bit of money from them from like riding for Identity, Halo at the time, riding for Manitou at the time, that was my first paying sponsor. So I had like a few bits of money coming here and there, but it definitely wasn't enough to live on. It was kind of like a bit of pocket money, and it felt, to be honest, even if it was a penny or 10 grand, it was like, wow, I'm being actually paid to ride a bike. I didn't really care how much it was.
Dude, yeah.
And at that point in time as well, you don't really know how to market yourself. You don't know what you're worth, and you probably aren't being as worth as what you could or should be. Whereas when you get older, you actually know what you should and shouldn't be doing. So yeah, I was on Identity, had a really successful year, and like done well at international comps. Pretty much everyone I went to, I was getting like a podium, or some of the really big ones like, I don't know, 26 Tricks or Colorado Freeride Festival was like always a top 10 or a top 5 or whatever like that. And then I had like 5 sponsorship offers. Went to Eurobike. I think it was like Bergamont, Scott, Bulls Bikes. I can't remember the other one. I think it was NS. Yeah, or not NS, it was Octane 1. It was their sister company at the time. Anyway, picked a deal with Bulls Bikes, and then had a 2-year deal with them. And then they were so happy with what I did, my contract doubled and I signed for 4 years.
Right.
So I was them for 4
So
years.
you did 2, then added 4.
2 of them 4.
Wow.
So as your course that you took to being a full-time rider, literally just focusing on bike riding and not having to have a job along the side, that's quite like a I feel like that tends to be the story. Go to international contests, start doing really well, and then get picked up. How do people do it now?
Such a good question.
Because the way I see a slopestyle contest elsewhere is like completely unrecognisable as something. I can't even relate to half the shit they're doing. It's opposite. It's
I mean, even from my outside view of looking in on it, because it's not me anymore. Like, I feel like you've just got to have, as crazy it seems, the overall package.
Yeah. Right. Which would be media. Yeah.
Fantastic rider.
Yeah.
You know, not just like a trick specialist, but you can make, dirt jump bikes aren't what companies are making loads and loads of money from. Unfortunately, that's not the case anymore. It's like e-bikes and Dura bikes, and you've got to make all of those bikes look good. You've got to be relatable, and the most important thing, you've got to be a nice person. If you're a dickhead, it doesn't matter how good you are. You're not, you know how good, like, you've got a good relationship with Focus, with your sponsors. I have a great relationship with White Bikes, and if you're a nice person, or if you can talk to someone, if you can create conversation, then that goes a long way a lot of the time.
Yeah.
So be a nice guy, but be good in every aspect.
It's true. Yeah, I think that's a major thing with being in the industry. It's like not burning bridges along the way as well. So you never
100%.
know when you might have to go back to one of those.
Yeah.
You know, or especially within the bike industry, everyone flits around different jobs. You know, they stay within the industry, but they go to a different brand. And if you've
100%.
burnt a bridge along the way,
That's it.
that white contract ends pretty quickly. If the guy you've pissed off, it becomes the marketing manager.
And not only that, it's such a small circle.
Yeah,
People
it's true.
do move
Everyone
around.
knows everyone.
And not only that, like mountain bike world, like with lots of other industries, is quite a cutthroat industry sometimes. Like you will get dropped from sponsors with very bad notice, and you will have opportunities that then get taken away from you. So as a rider and as a human being, you feel like, F you, man, I'm gonna send you a snotty email, and I'm gonna tell everyone you're a dickhead or something like that. And then you'll find out a year later he's your new marketing manager or something like that.
Exactly.
You're like, oh.
Yeah, it's bad. It doesn't work. I've seen it as well with people. You see people like speak out or whatever, and it just doesn't work. It's not.
Yeah. It's not worth it.
No.
Life's too short to make enemies.
It is.
You know,
When you weren't fully pro, what were you doing?
So I was a carpenter.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, so my dad owns like a building company,
Yeah.
and like ever since school I like went with him.
Yeah.
And still qualified now. So like in my house I've done all the work there, which is cool. It's quite handy to do that. But he was always really good.
Don't look around too much.
Yeah, I like the recycled pallets. That's really good.
Don't hang around too long. I'll get you doing something.
But he was amazing because obviously he's your dad and your boss. But if I ever needed time off, or if it's like, oh yeah, can I like just have tomorrow off and go practice? He'd be like, yeah, absolutely, go do what you want. It wasn't ever like, no, I need you to help me pitch this roof. He's like, oh man, it's like whatever, just go do your thing. And that's really what made the difference between me probably making it or not. The time that I could go away, do what I needed to do, and even in the early days when I couldn't afford to pay for flights and stuff like that, like he would cover my flights for me and be my biggest fan really, and he still is today, which was really cute.
That's rad.
And you know, when I broke my leg, going back to that, I was in hospital for 9.5 days. He was there every day.
Wow,
so
wicked.
It was he's amazing.
Rad dad.
Rad dad.
A rad
for sure.
dad, yeah.
So with those contests, so back then when you're struggling to make it, you're covering the cost of flights, and how does it work? Like the organizer, what do they pick up? How do you get invited to them back then?
So yeah, if your sponsors aren't paying for your flights because you haven't agreed it, or you're getting free parts, so it's a flow deal, you're paying for your flights, and normally the hotel organizer would be putting you up, so they would cover your hotel and supply you with food and look after you, give you a good after party, and hopefully a bit of prize money if you did all right. But as you get a bit better, like contests would want you there, and then sometimes my flights were paid for by them, and normally your sponsors would pay for them as well because they want you to be there to market their brand out there and hopefully on the podium. So,
From slopestyle, you then went to speed and style and had a lot of success in that.
I forgot about that really, actually.
That's a big part of it, wasn't it? And is it you saying being well-rounded pays? It's like because being good at tricks and being fast are two quite different things.
They are, yeah.
Did you do 4-cross when you were younger or anything? No.
No, I just did pumping basically. I was like a pump extraordinaire. Just go to the skate park, don't pedal, just
yeah.
And that's always done me really good stead.
Right.
To be good at pumping.
Yeah.
And like coaching wise, when I coach people, it's like the one thing I try to drill into people. Like people say sometimes, I didn't know you could like pump for jumps or for speed or for cornering. I'm like, dude, it's like the most important thing. Like pumping is mountain biking. Like the sooner you realise that.
You do see a lot of people have success, obviously, from downhill and stuff that have got a BMX background, BMX race background, that have got that, got those little nuances to pump and stuff.
Same with you. You've always been really good at pumping. I always watch you and just like driving the bike in there, like little hill, you're making the most out of it. And
I feel, I'm completely with you. And it's almost what you chase as well, and it's like, geez, that's what I like the most.
Yeah.
In biking, it's like...
And like, how much more fun is it when you go down a trail and you're doing as much as you can without obviously like being an idiot, like what like pumping every little thing. Like that's what's fun. If you went down a trail just sitting on your seat,
rigor mortis.
Yeah, what's the fun in that?
Less fun, for sure.
That's shit, isn't it? Yeah. So, I think pumping is mountain biking 101.
I forget you're a coach. So do you reckon you got good one-liners? I always think...
What do you mean one-liners?
Well, pumping, I said to someone before, it's like being on a trampoline.
Yeah.
bouncing on a trampoline, and I felt like I've done very little coaching. I think I'd be a really bad coach, but you could see it just like clicked.
Yeah.
Being on a trampoline and in a turn, it's exactly the same. It's like being on a trampoline in a turn, as long as your feet are
It's
level.
a great analogy again.
Yeah, it sort of does.
What is it?
Yeah.
What did you call yourself?
The
Kanye West?
The
No.
Michael Jordan of analogies.
Michael Jordan,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, that's a good one, actually.
But yeah, I feel like you'd be I feel like it's an advert for your coaching services.
The thing is, I always try and describe it as you're always trying to load that bike up, and like you're trying to put your energy into it at all times to get more out of it. The same with like you're jumping, you don't just go into a jump and just you're not just straight legged, are you? You're not just collapsed into the bike. You're trying to actively load the bike up so you can do what you want it to do, not it being in control of you.
Yeah.
But yeah. I mean, I don't really have one on us. No, I wouldn't say that. No.
We'll go with the trampoline one.
I'm not that clever to like hold that information in my brain. I don't think. Just like pop it out. It's
Michael
like,
Jordan's got it covered over there. When did you start the coaching business then? Like, how did?
that's quite a funny story in itself, actually. Yeah, I had this guy that kept hassling me in the nicest terms. He's like, "Do you do coaching?" I was like, "Sorry, I don't." Like,
leave me alone. Restraining order or not?
No, he's like, I still talk to him now. He's an amazing person, actually. Amazing person. He's a great person, yeah. And he just like kept messaging me like every few weeks, like, "I really love it if you coach. I love your riding style. I love the way that you control the bike. Are you interested?" I was like, "Well, I don't have my first aid. I don't have qualifications. I've never done it before." And at the same time, without like being honest, I had no interest in doing it either.
Yeah.
I was just happy where I was in my life and everything I was doing. And it got to the point where he just kept asking. I was like, "Yeah, 100%, but it has to be off book. Like, you know, I'm not
cash.
Yeah.
We're talking cash, aren't we? We're talking
Well, it's
cash.
more than just I had no qualifications. I had like no first aid. Like,
It's pretty scary, isn't it? That
Yeah,
like, the thought of, yeah.
you know, like had no of the official stuff that you should have. Anyway, I coached him, and it was really fun. Really enjoyed the process. And then that evening, he wrote on, I think it was a Surrey Hills Facebook page, or something like that, of split times difference for his like local trail. And honestly, it was 2 A4 pages long, this review of me coaching him. And that night I had like 150 DMs on Facebook about coaching. And that was it. I made a coaching business from there. So I made the website, did all my first aid, my qualifications, all like public liability, all the boring stuff. And then that was it.
Wow.
It was like another job in itself alongside my other job.
See, I've never really understood how the coaching stuff could work. So what like, let's say a customer comes to you, a client, whatever you call it, and they're, you know, relatively new to mountain biking. How do you go about assessing where they're at? And then what are like the main things then that you try and pick up on to help get someone more competent, let's say? So
for me, it's like, I've ridden bikes for so many years, same with Olly, and, you know, like I can look at someone with half a run, you know, 10 seconds on a bike and being like, why are you doing that? Why is your foot in that position? Why is all your weight on your tippy toes? Why aren't your cranks flat? Why are you slightly leant back? Why are you off the back of the bike? You know, and I can literally put a plan together within such a short period of time, and just with like 3 really important things, they'd be twice the rider they were before. And sometimes they've got themselves in a bad habit. Yeah. Maybe they've watched 32 YouTube videos and each one's given them a different opinion on that. And then they've got, Johnny said I've got to do this, someone said I've got to do this, and then they're going into a jump like, they don't really know what they're doing. Yeah. And sometimes, like, if you simplify it, you know, and sometimes bike setup as well. Right. That's a lot to be said about it. Like, so that's what you do first. You just be like, right, where's your bike at? Right. Always. You know, I've had guys coming to me with their shock bolt hanging out to the point there's no thread. Literally, it's hanging out. And if I pulled the bike up and the shock came out. Like every lesson before it starts, check tyre pressures.
Is it the M check, W check?
Yeah. But a lot of the time, like underinflated tyres, really, really common. So people come to me and they do a general like load of riding in loads of different areas. But like if you're pumping into a transition and you have 18 PSI on your back tyre, what's going to happen? You know, it's going to bulge to one way or the other, and you've already gone wonky like I did. Literally, before you've done anything else wrong. Same with rebound. Sometimes I got a pogo stick on the back and be like, that's how the bike shop set up for me, or that's how I've had it for the last 2 years. Right. And you're like, no wonder you're struggling. So, you know, go over the bike, make sure they got the basics and fundamentals. make sure they're relaxed and having a good time and go from there, really. Like, mountain biking's fun at the end of the day, that's why we do it. So you've got to have fun when you're doing it. And if you're all stiff and, like, petrified, that makes it way harder as well, so...
Yeah.
Do you reckon there's, like... I've never had any coaching for biking. It's well interesting, the thought of someone... I guess you sort of do with each other, don't you? You'll just get ripped by your mates if you're like, well, you look well stiff in that turn.
I think, like, when me and Sam Wren were doing Speed and Style together, we'd always follow each other down to discuss line choice, but that was because we wanted to better each other and, like, help each other out. And, you know, you're both professionals, but you both have a different opinion on what you think's a better line choice, or why you'd pick that over that, or you prefer to be on the inside of the turn rather than the outside of the turn, or, you know, there's always never the perfect way. I don't think.
So it's just a conversation. It's really, when you actually put coaching like that, it's way less like a lesson and more like a, have you thought about...
Yeah, suggestion box.
Yeah, innit? Yeah.
Well, I do actually say to people, like, try not to be nervous, just that you're biking with a friend that's going to tell you some good stuff.
Yeah.
Because sometimes if they've never had coaching to date, it's quite a big thing, isn't it? Like, you think you have driving lessons, you have skiing lessons, you have, like, lessons in all aspects of life, whereas in the last 2 years it's become super popular to actually have mountain bike lessons because you can enjoy it more.
Yeah,
you actually know what you're doing.
And it can be pretty dangerous if you don't know what you're doing.
Well, dude, it can be dangerous if you do know what you're doing.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
I'm about to do a really good segue, but if I booked up for a coaching course, maybe I got like a what do you call it, a voucher.
Yeah.
Okay.
Something like that. I turn up and there's a bloke that rides the biggest jumps in the world. I'll be like, what is he going to teach me?
I don't want to do big jumps. I just want to do But that's the good thing about where we teach at the ball track. We have an array of features. So you've got, like, I teach people from like 7 years old up to, I had a 70-year-old regular.
Wow.
Really, yeah.
He drove from Bournemouth to Crowborough, which is like 2.5 hours. On his what bike was he on? What's the really
Shop Mobility?
It's on a mobility scooter, and we did some two-wheeling. No, he had a lightweight e-bike, can't remember which one it was, and he absolutely loved it. And Wicked. It was amazing to see that if you know, at 70 years old, if you didn't have that e-bike, there'd be no way he'd be riding. No way.
No.
So, a lot to it as well, isn't there? Like when you get to that age, having momentum, having something that you enjoy, very important. Like,
oh yeah, like you've worked your whole life.
Yeah,
you might have a bit of money behind you, and you can just sit there and read the newspaper or whatever. Like, you know, getting out on your bike. And
so he's getting coached by someone who rides 120-foot jumps.
It's so good.
110, sorry.
Probably go 120 to be fair.
Right, so how do you get into Fest? How do you get into big jump riding? Because it seems a long way from a skate park in Eastbourne.
Yeah, let's keep this one close. Sorry, we'll keep that nice and close because it's been
hanging around.
Been Sam Reynolds in it, yeah.
Let's
get it nice and close.
I think it was more like mountain biking is so broad, and I wanted to do more of it, basically. And I like riding every other aspect of mountain bike as the first, like I said earlier. So if you've got 6 bikes in your garage, you're going to have way more fun, aren't you, than just having the one bike in there. So I kind of like, it just diversified from there, really. So, yeah.
That's mad. For someone listening, though, to think, like, they might think, oh, I'm just from, like, a small Eastbourne. How do you summarise it? Like a fairly flat, small seaside town?
Yeah.
You wouldn't picture yourself going...
to the biggest jumps in the world.
Yeah, it's in South Africa to a 110-foot jump.
You wouldn't, no. And the first time you turn up to DarkFest, I've done it a few years now, but the first time you turn up, you're just like...
Do you remember that first time? What's the first time like? Was there like a bit of a bridge in between? Or does it go
like a red line?
Yeah, but it is though. Does it go from like, you know, whatever? I mean, the jumps are relatively big at slope style, but there's no. Where's the in between? Or you just rock up to this thing?
Yeah,
and
you can't
like,
train for a start. There's no way you can ever go that will prepare you for that. But no, but the first time you turn up, you know, like everybody always says this, like in YouTube or whatever, or online or in GoPro, it looks big or small or whatever. Yeah. And you're like, well, with DarkFest, it probably looks relatively big on camera. And you turn up and you're like, what the hell? I'm like, what? Why am I here? What is the point in this? Like, what am I doing? And then once you're a little bit into it, you're like, oh my God, this is literally the best thing in the world.
Yeah.
Is it? Yeah. So that is, of all the riding you've done, what is the thing? Because DarkFest has got, like, hitting those jumps has got to be up there, right?
Yeah, I think probably this year was one of the best experiences I've had ever of
Really?
riding bikes.
Yeah, I watched a YouTube video about it. Actually, he was saying like you got loads of runs in on one day, like more runs on one day than the previous year in total.
Yeah, bike
Just
was
hammering
fantastic. Weather was good. With DarkFest, obviously, when you're hitting such big jumps, you can't ride when it's windy. The conditions have to be perfect, and they stipulate massively sometimes if you're getting a lot of riding or if you're not. I think in 1 year I probably had 7 top to bottom runs in the whole time I've been there, and then the first day this year at DarkFest I did 7 top to bottom runs in 1 day.
Wow.
And then when you've already done that, you've kind of like ticked something on your list. You're already more stoked because you've done more riding. You're feeling more comfortable on the course, because if you was to break down the actual DarkFest course, every single feature is gnarly in its own way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like it's, like the step up's so hard to judge the speed when you do a full run because you're hitting it with more speed. The Twisty Wizard, it is like super techy and like actually really steep, and you need to get that perfect to hit the hip good.
Yeah.
The 90 is like relatively chill because you've then hit the 110, but it's still a 90-foot jump.
Yeah. Fucking hell, yeah. Holy shit.
And then like the actual start of the course is quite blind with like bushes and stuff.
Yeah, it looks it, yeah.
And it's actually really hard. And then when people turn up and they haven't rode it before, they're like, shit, I'm really bad. I don't think I can do the jump. If I can't do this, how am I going to do that?
Like a non-confidence,
like
a squirrel catcher, I guess.
And then we're always like, actually, they're super hard. Like, don't worry about it. So, but yeah, I mean, it's such an experience. Like, yeah, I can't speak highly enough how good it is.
Hey, can you tell us about your bike setup for DarkFest? But can you tell us just after the break? This advert is mega easy.
Yeah, it's one of the easiest.
It really is, and it has been for a long time. They've been a long-term supporter of the podcast.
They've been with the podcast for over 6 years, I think.
And a long-term supporter of my bikes. That's right, it works. They're back with a Hydro Shot, but it's better than ever. It's actually, I believe, twice as powerful.
Yep, twice as powerful, man. They've upped it, doubled it.
Dude, that's the only spec I know. I know you've got a load more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can go through them if you want.
I'd really like it if you went through them, because I feel like all I know is that it's double as powerful.
Yeah, no problem. I can hit you with some specs, man.
Please.
All right, so the new Works Hydro Shot has got a 2.0 motor and negative charge pump, which generates pressure of up to 56 bars.
That's
Again,
a lot.
Doubled it. 220 litres of water flow. It's got an engineered IPX5 waterproof battery case, which provides extra safety and convenience in use. The spray patterns go from 0 degrees, 15 degrees, 25 degrees, or 40 degrees. Again, depends what you want. Sometimes you want pinpoint accuracy. Sometimes you want to water the garden. You go 40 degree.
You don't want to blow out your bearings on your bike.
That's the thing about this stuff, man. It's really good because it's not too powerful. It's just right. It's just enough. All right.
Yep.
It comes with the 6 meter suction hose. Again, like you just mentioned. Okay, you can get your suction hose, dip it in a water source. It can be a bucket,
it can
sink,
it can be
bathtub,
it can be river, lock,
a lock.
Any large body of water, to be honest. The sea might be a bit salty.
Bit salty for it. Yeah, true, man. But yeah, if you're not near a water source, you can, if you are near a water source, you can take the Hydro Shot out, put your hose in, clean your bike off. Perfect at the bottom of the trail centre or something.
Exactly that. It works as well from the water source as it does from mains pressure.
Yeah.
Fantastic that is.
It does. All right, so if you want to get yourself a Works Hydro Shot, thankfully the guys at Works have come through with an offer code, which we've never had before.
We can offer the companionship a discount. Are you
serious?
Yeah,
crazy, mate. Honestly, the amount of messages over the years of like, can I get a deal on it? And we couldn't help them out, but thankfully now we can. So if you head to uk.works.com and enter the code, The Ride Companion. What is it?
Capitals, right?
Capital
No spaces, right?
No spaces.
The Ride Companion.
Yep, that's going to get you a whopping 15% off. But what? Not just the Hydro Shot, mate. You can get 15% off anything on store. So maybe you want a new drill, strimmer, lawnmower, impact driver. What do you need? Head to Works Hydro Shot. You can use the power share system too. So in theory, you could just get one battery, swap it between all the various devices, and you're up and running. So yeah, there you go. uk.works.com. Enter the code The Ride Companion. It's going to get you 15% off.
Thanks,
anything
Works.
and everything on site.
Thanks,
Works.
Thanks.
Round of applause. Round of applause for the ad read as well. Decent.
That was good.
Yeah. And we're back. Great break. Great ad.
Good ad break that was.
Best ad yet.
What did I promise we were going to talk about before?
DarkFest setup, bike
and
setup.
I am actually super interested. You had a DarkFest specific bike for the event.
Mm-hmm.
What made it the DarkFest bike?
The fact that we painted it like a shark. was kind of really cool. So yeah, we had Fat Creations doing an amazing job on the shark paint job,
Rad.
which kind of made me ride better. Just the fact that I knew I had something
look
so
good, ride
cool.
good, mate. Yeah.
And I was like, I can't be crap because I'm riding a shark. Like, I just have to be good. So that was really cool. But mainly, it's about making it as strong as possible, and not really. You don't really want it too lightweight.
No.
So like, whereas
Interesting.
dirt jump bikes, you're like, I want titanium this, I want titanium that. I run like heavy downhill tubes in mine, so like it's a rotational mass that's spinning it. For example, 50 miles an hour? Like I think it's roughly 50 mile an hour for the 110. And if it's really light, obviously it's going to be a bit more thrown around in the air. Whereas, yeah, you want it a bit more solid.
Yeah.
So like strong rims, double down tyres I had front and rear. Whereas before I had like when I was riding for Schwalbe, for example, I had a Rock Razor and I only had like an enduro side
casing.
That's it. That's what I'm looking for. Thank you.
It's all right. I got you.
And even with like 45 psi, I was just like felt like it was going to blow up at any time, and I felt like it was like hitting the ground.
So it's all about weight.
Yeah. And then shock wise, I had a 550 pound spring on the back. So not crazy
No,
heavy.
that isn't crazy, is
no,
it?
First year I went at a 700. And it was kind of like on the limit of being too heavy, and I kind of wanted to feel a bit more of like progression, feel what the bike's doing a little bit, rather than just being like
Yeah.
So yeah, I went to a 550 and I was actually on a different bike to when I ran a 700, and that was fine.
Right.
That was really nice. Try not to have too many flat landings or cases, because no matter how good you are, your body will break or the bike will break at DarkFest if you come up short or go long. Like, there's nothing you can do about it. You will break yourself or the bike because it's such an impact. So you've got to be really calculated, and as well, don't take it for granted. Like, if you're not feeling up to it, if you're tired, or if you had a long day, or you just actually don't feel like riding that day, that's when you're
grown up.
Yeah, just like, I'm gonna chill, gonna go watch Netflix or something. I don't know. But it's just so hard to do when you're on the biggest jumps in the world and the best scenery with the best guys ever. We're like all such good friends.
Yeah.
You just want to have the best time ever, but if you're feeling shit, it's no point.
So you've turned up, you've got the bike that you're completely happy with, it's trick.
Yeah.
You've turned up, there's new changes to the course, you see the 110.
Yeah.
What did you think when you first saw that?
Like, put the bike away. Go home. No, I think really because the 90 was the biggest jump I've ever rode. Yeah. And then you're like, well, why is there a bigger one? Like, what's the point? And then it was more like, for me, like, the way my brain works, if I've seen someone do it and I can relate my skill to their skill, I haven't really got too much of a problem with it, because they've almost taken the risk out of it. But the first person to hit that's when you're actually crazy. Like, I'm not crazy.
Yeah.
But the first person that hits that
I agree,
is 100% crazy. Because it's like, obviously there is a skill involved in testing the speed for the jumps, and as a pro rider, you would agree with this. Normally 9 out of 10 places you go for the first time, you can judge your speed to get it right into the landing, can't you? Like, very rarely would you go 50-50 into the back, or 10 foot longer.
It'd have to be built so crazy as well, wouldn't
which
it?
is a good conversation to talk about stuff as well, how bad some stuff's built these days.
Yes.
Not saying any places, but just whereas that, it goes to such another realm of love of stuff. How on earth can you judge it?
Yeah.
And I think Tom just said, because Tom was the first one to do it, I think he just said he gave it everything he had.
So terrifying.
Did he go deep first run?
Don't remember.
I don't know, but I remember Sam talking about...
It was kind of perfect, I think.
He was playing with... that was the flip he was talking about, though. He was playing with that.
Yeah, he was trying to get longer and longer every time.
With it,
because he's like, I want to beat Zinc even more.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, just even straight jumping it for the first time, Tom was absolutely mental for that. Like, I wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
Really?
I don't think I would.
You sit back and let someone else...
Maybe if there's the biggest check you've ever seen, like, waiting there once you've done it.
Do you think there's something in that, like, with Tom obviously showing up, no bike sponsor, and it's something we might have discussed as well, of like, have you got to put your balls on the line a little bit more in order for people to take you serious? Obviously, you've rocked up, you've got your bike sponsors, everything's,
I mean...
not saying there's nothing to prove,
but
of
like... course, yeah. I mean, Tom's a fantastic rider anyway, but 100%, if you don't have a bike sponsor, you've got a point to prove, because you want a bike sponsor. Yeah. Like, no matter what anyone says, no one... You want a bike sponsor. There's a few people without them this year, and some might say they've done it on purpose or they're doing it. Whatever. That's not true. Everybody would want support from a company. Yeah. And
it's like the most staple thing for your job, right?
Tom deserved that for years. Yeah. But he just was a bit unlucky.
It's not like he's not been around either.
No.
So it's like, I can completely see it as a motivator, but I actually think with him, I think it wasn't. I think he wanted to hit the hit the big jump.
Yeah, but
first.
he's like that anyway.
And if that's in you
exactly,
anyway,
yeah.
bike sponsor or not, like you're gonna want to.
Yeah, and to put it in perspective, like I always see myself as super calculated and like calm in a way. Like I wouldn't be a guy to like want to double flip a jump or anything like that. Whereas Tom is probably the opposite to me.
Is
not
that
saying
guy.
he's not calculated, but he would like, yeah, I'll double flip that. I'm like, what are you on about?
Yeah.
Why would you do that? And he's like, oh, it's just fun, isn't it? So there's so many different types of pro riders of how like some behave, how calculated. And me and Sam always said it's like it depends how long you might want to be in the industry for. Because if you're that loose, like there's some guys that were in slopestyle that didn't really give a shit, would send it if it was windy, if the sun was in your eyes, you know, if it was wet or your bike's half broken, or you've got a puncture and they'd still try and jump the next jump. We all know it's not going to happen. You know, you're probably not going to last that long.
Yeah,
it's hard as well, isn't it, to have that foresight when you're caught up in it and you're caught in all of the noise to be able to like you know, it's impressive, man, to have that personality trait where you can just slow things down. It's like, no, don't get caught up in the hype, don't get caught up in the big flips, just
I mean, also
you're here for a long time.
You probably got caught up in the hype at Penshurst, which is really good because you got caught up in the hype at Penshurst all those years ago for however many years in order to not get caught up
further down the line
at DarkFest.
And it also depends like on your personality.
Yeah,
some people are just a bit more crazy than others, aren't they?
Yeah, true enough.
Definitely.
And,
definitely. Bragging rights, egos are on, not egos, but you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of on the line a little bit, stuff like that, isn't it? Everyone wants to get the biggest, gnarliest clip.
Yeah.
It's what we're in the business of doing.
So Tom's hit it. Were you there? You see it?
Yeah, I saw it, and from the minute it worked, I was like all in. I wanted it.
Sick. That's what I was going to ask you. So you literally watched it, and you're like, oh,
yeah, it's just waiting for the right time. Well, excited, nervous, all of the above. Like, I've got nothing to prove. I don't need to hit that jump, but if it works, I'm going to hit it for sure.
Yeah,
because I believe I'm good enough to do it, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And like it's just cool. Like it's like one of the biggest jumps in the world. It looked like it worked perfect. You actually got way more airtime than the 90 as well. So the way I describe it is like the 90 you kind of felt like you're floating through it, whereas 110 it was just like bang, and it was just like totally different. But
can you relate that feeling to anything else in life? No. That's one on its own.
No, and like first time I hit it, I like cased the step down into it, which is like 55 foot. So like went a little bit slow, cased it like a minute amount, and I was at that point I was so committed. I was just like, oh, F it, I'm going anyway. So I was just like talking about pumping. I was just like,
huge,
and then massive pop on the lip. And there's like a video of me like, I think it's Cade was first, Teo was second, and I was third. And they like both like cruise through it, and I'm just like, bunk, just like, you know, like just so high, and then just creased it into landing perfect. And I was like, all right, cool. Wow, that was insane. And then didn't break for the Twisty Wizard, so that was a big difference. The 90 didn't have to break. On the 110 you had to really break into the Twisty Wizard. So I had a bit of a brain fart because I was so hyped, obviously. Didn't break into the Twisty Wizard and like missed the cameraman that was there by like that much. Just like, at probably like 45 mile an hour. Just like,
wow.
So it was a pull. First lap was a pull.
Yeah.
And then what? Because it really strikes me, the amount of time is like, even on jumps that I've done, the biggest jumps I've done, which are nowhere near that.
Yeah.
I feel that like sort of awkwardness in the air. Not awkwardness, but just like the amount of time is bizarre. It's not like a dirt jump where you're unweighted and it will make sense. Like a...
Yeah. It's kind of not really an up and down either. You know, like a sharp dirt jump, you're like boom, boom. It's kind of just like you're just going and it gets to a point where you just drop the bike in and then you're travelling down again. It is weird.
Can you see and feel it straight away? Or is there less of that on a jump that size?
You can see the back of the landing for a long time. So if it was wrong, you'd be seeing that crash for so long because you were like floating towards it. But then I think for me, every time I rode it after that, I still gave it pretty much everything I had because I'd much rather go slightly long than slightly short. Because the impact on going short on that, you're just going to get bucked to death.
Yeah. Because even a nice bounce over the bars is so high speed.
Yeah.
Isn't it? Like,
it's not, it wouldn't even, that's what I think, it's not nice. No. When it gets to that point, a bounce over the bars on
50 mile an hour or something.
50 mile an hour, the bike's probably going to snap in half.
Yeah.
I don't even want to think what's going to happen. Actually, BMW did it. Did you see the crash of? He came up short and got bounced over. He's so circus man. He just like ran out.
He's very impressive, isn't he? When he crashes,
he was the best person that could have happened to. Anyone else, they would be dead. But
Wow.
he wasn't phased by it and just sort of ran out like, ha, cool. Like, all right, cool.
How many spares do you take with you? That's a geeky question, but
Well,
you can't just take just a bike, or can you?
we could talk about it for a long time, I think, really, but it's all down to weight.
Right.
You know, bike bag already weighs a lot.
Yeah.
Downhill bikes aren't the lightest, are they? So you're already like you're near your 32 kilo limit, aren't you? If you're going to pick it apart a little bit. So for me, it was rims, not even built up. Worst case scenario, I believed in my Hunt rims that I wasn't going to snap them or anything. So I was like, just take spare rims, just in case. Worst case scenario, someone can build me up a set.
Yeah.
Few spokes, handlebars 100% because you know like that's quite common to bend some bars if you have a lay down.
Okay, when you chuck the bike sort of thing. You're
Yeah,
not
because
talking
on the
about-
triple clamp or whatever, it's like a bit more rigidity to it. It's easier to bend them, and spare headset. So that's what everybody basically that was there broke a headset.
Right.
Just
really?
like an impact of landing, either headset coming loose or your headset breaking. My headset would come loose like every other day or every day, even if I hadn't had a case. Just through your landing so heavy, the bikes aren't really made for that.
I like the idea of the DarkFest invite coming with like an equipment list. Like,
You should
like
have this,
sensible
this,
footwear,
and this. You definitely should have an insurance.
waterproof jacket.
Yeah, tummy tablets because you always get the shits. Body armour, sun cream, massive balls.
Hair clippers.
Yeah, hair clippers. Yeah, a nice personality. But no, I mean to sum it up, it's incredible. Sam's done such a good job there. Like the scenery is unreal. You cannot beat the scenery. The jumps are the best jumps in the world. Sam's an amazing guy, and everyone that gets invited are all friends. There's no one that's like my dick's bigger than your dick. It's never like that. It's like such a nice group of people that are just all a bit weird in different ways.
Yeah, that's
which is cool.
Man.
So
Really
it's,
sick.
It's a cool place to be.
Yeah.
It's quite a scary place to be as well. Like
Oh yeah,
it's,
man, I can imagine.
people are like, oh, it's just like going on holiday or whatever. Like, of course it's not. You're like the stress and the potential for injury and stuff to happen is quite high, isn't it? So.
What? Go on. I saw you take a breath. Like
It was
you're
a big breath as well.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I was just thinking about the weather. If you removed weather and you didn't have to like ride as such, because they're quite often weird times, eh?
Yeah, early mornings and afternoons.
Like the thought of a 110 for breakfast is so insane.
Yeah, I kind of think that's really good that it is like that, because imagine if it wasn't a thing and you could ride from first when you wake up to at night, people would die.
Yeah,
Because they'd be riding too much, they'd be tired,
Uncomfortable.
they'd get too comfortable on the course properly and start trying stuff that maybe they wouldn't have done previous.
Right.
And I think this year was almost the most riding we've ever had. And I think on the last day, Sam was like, oh, I'm quite glad we've had a wet weather day today because, you know, I don't want anyone to get hurt. And we've already exceeded the expectations of what everyone thought could happen or do, or
yeah.
it couldn't have got better. So like having an extra day could be a bad thing for people in a way.
Well, that's the dream. That's a sign it was a good year for
Yeah.
sure. Isn't it?
Yeah, and then like the after party, I think was whenever it was on the Saturday, whatever, or whenever it was, but it was scheduled that all up leading up to that it was going to be wet afterwards and stuff, and then we had a break on the Wednesday, so we went, you know, everyone goes nuts at the start of the week, so you kind of need like a day off or whatever, so we went out on a Wednesday or whatever, and then it rained on Thursday. It was perfect.
Yeah.
And then come back to Friday and then we could ride again, and it couldn't have been better. Whereas previous years have just been fighting it from the word go.
Yeah.
But no, it's good.
Best year so far then, for sure.
I think for everyone. Sam said it was best year. I mean, I thought it was the best year for me, and just in general, having the new jump was insane.
Yeah.
The fact that Tom flipped it was insane, and like to be a part of that was cool. And Tom's the man for doing that. That was so sick. And to do it on the 300 quid eBay bike was even better. And he got a sponsorship out of it, so it couldn't have actually worked better for him.
Yeah.
Maybe he's way more clever than we could anticipate.
It was
and
just
that was
great
like,
marketing.
Yeah.
Fantastic marketing. Speaking of marketing, like what do you do as an athlete to sort of like you were saying before, you've got to be quite like varied and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So when you go to a bike brand or another sponsor and stuff, I feel like the landscape is changing now. Like you were saying before, when you're being a professional athlete, you've got to bring more to the table than just being gnarly on a bike.
Yeah.
So you're constantly thinking about that, and what have you done? What do you do to continue
Yeah, it's a really good question. I think for a start, you've got to understand the brand that you're working for.
Yeah.
And what their core values are, of what they want you to do for them. I mean, you're going to have a contract and it should be outlined what they want you to do anyway. But, you know, do they want you to be double flipping an e-bike in the Surrey Hills? Probably not. It's not really relevant to that brand. So do they want you to be doing cool berm shots with a nice background? Probably that. So, you know, like, you might be able to do that double flip, or you might be able to do an ET or something like that. But for some brands, they're not interested in that. Whereas you think of like 50-1 and how they've gone down with whoever they were riding for. I don't even know. Was it Santa Cruz or mainly when it started? They split up a bit.
Yeah.
And that's what they wanted from them, wasn't it?
Yep.
So it can completely depends what brand it is, what they want from you, you know. And
I think White's actually quite a good example, because I don't see them as being like the gnarly.
No, yeah.
You know, but you've brought that aspect to the brand almost.
Yeah, so with
and it's
White,
good that they'll support you to go do the gnarly crazy stuff.
They want to get the bikes out there, and we want to make a big hype of how fantastic the bikes are. But at the same time, it's not just about that. It's about the e-bikes, the analog bikes, you know, all their range of other bikes, and you've got to be riding those just as much as you may be going to DarkFest for 1 week of the year. But is that the most important thing? It's definitely important, but there's so many other aspects you need to be doing as well. So, and the coaching does work well with that as well, because people coming to your advice, they get the chance to have a go on your bike and see, you know, if it's a good bike or not, and you know, it all works well. You can it all works into a good package. Yeah,
I think people will. Yeah, they do listen as well. You know, we certainly see it as well. You know, people want to buy the brand that you talk about because you're honest about it and you're actually showing the capability of this bike, especially with what you're doing.
And I think
pushing it to the absolute limits as well.
A professional athlete, no matter what the money was, I'd never sign to a brand that I didn't believe their values or how good a bike is. Yeah, like, you need a good bike underneath you. Otherwise, imagine going to DarkFest and not having faith in what was underneath your legs.
Oh, fucking hell, yeah. Terrifying.
I don't think I could do it. Yeah. So, like, you need to have that faith, and you need to have that relationship with your sponsor, that they understand your needs and you understand their needs. Yeah.
Are you seeing that bike brands and other sponsors as well are starting to maybe expect more now, because there's, you know, athletes are doing more?
Yeah, I think, to be honest, just in life in general, like, life is tough. You have to work your ass off. Otherwise you will not make money, or you won't succeed. So it's like, you've always got to be trying to do more than maybe you think you should do anyway, I think. But yeah, it is tough, because you see as well, like, riders out there at the moment that actually don't have bike sponsorship, or they don't have that, and they probably deserve it. But, you know, like you said, do you think maybe they're not marketing themselves right, or, you know, you don't know, do you? So there's lots of ifs and buts, but
what's your thoughts on that as well? Obviously, because you're in a similar boat, aren't you?
I just didn't get it when I was younger. I didn't get it at all. I didn't understand anything. My bike was broken. I didn't care. I didn't know why. I thought I was sponsored because I was good. I thought it was because I was like, you know, I thought it was because I was good. I didn't think about actually why you're there. Yeah, it took me a long time to work that out. Actually,
same for me.
Embarrassingly long.
I was actually the same. Actually,
and you see it in other people, and it's like kind of it's frustrating, but you want to be able to, like, help. Yeah. But the thing is, if someone talked to me when I was that age and I was just thinking, well, I'm sponsored because I'm good, and
that's that.
What are you going to tell me? Yeah. What are you going to tell me about a photo shoot for this, or like, oh, I should really do a bike check? I'm not going to listen. I don't know.
But at the same time, like, when me and you are coming up, think how much it's changed now. Like, when I was younger, I honestly thought sometimes that if I was to do bad at a competition, I could come home to not having a sponsor. Yeah. Whereas now, it's not really that relevant, contests, to a certain degree, once you've got an established name, or you've been there, done that. Like, it's definitely something that you need to do, but it's not as important as it once was, I don't think.
Yeah, you can't be, like, totally inactive, you know, or, you know, whatever. But yeah, there's different reasons that brands want to get involved with you.
Definitely.
It's not just winning stuff. There's more to it.
Yeah, you got to find your context, almost your reason as well, haven't you? Like, what there has to be, like, a story as to why it can never just be that you're good. No. It can't really. I mean, if you want to be like a meal, youth,
Do you think that's what the youth dem are chasing?
The youth dem,
because you know, there's this obsession, isn't there, on Instagram and stuff like that, of, like, just wanting sponsorship almost to have it. But like you say, you've got to know, like, what you're chasing, why you're chasing it, and what you can bring to the table. A lot of the time, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. I think, like, as long as they're having fun, it doesn't matter if they're chasing spots and stuff. As long as they're enjoying biking for ultimately the right reasons.
What it is, yeah.
Yeah, it's
but
weird.
That's why
though.
we did it though in the first place. Like, there's no way I ever did biking because I wanted to be a pro rider. I was like a super hyperactive kid.
Yeah.
And that was my release to play on my bike, and I got a bit good at it, and that was that.
But your first flip you don't have on camera, do you? On fucking iPhone camera?
I do.
You had there was smartphones when you first did a flip.
Don't know what it was
so
that
old.
filmed it. It could have been a potato. But there is that first clip.
That's an amazing thing to. I'd love to see that.
So I was at the track in Portrufe.
No
Yeah,
way.
so I think it was a King of Dirt, and like Jimmy Pratt was there. Maybe you were there. There was a high air contest into the foam pit. I don't know if you remember it.
Yeah, I do. 100%. Yeah.
And I beat Jimmy Pratt. And there's a video of me lying online, and it was like the crappiest video, shit music. And it had like first place, me, second place, Jimmy Pratt, and I did all that, and it was quite pathetic. But yeah, I learned to flip into the foam pit and then did it on a step up that had been built that weekend for some reason at Portrufe.
So cool.
Nice.
And I was on static plan B. Do you remember that?
I remember that. Papa John was on static as well.
I bought it. It wasn't. I don't think it was a freebie at the time. And I had DMR rims on the front.
We had a good time growing up. So the track is, it was like once a year, wasn't it? And there would be a contest, and then everyone would just flood to Cornwall. Okay. It was so good. There were so few people really in the.
Yeah.
There was a lot of people, but then it was quite.
Everyone knew everyone.
Yeah, it was really good growing up. It was cool.
But the place was good, but it was always crap because it was windy and wet, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was like, for God's sake, we've got to go there. Like, the jumps are incredible. It was like, there's probably 200, 300 jumps there.
Back then, you were probably like 8 o'clock in the morning. I'm not riding that. That's insane. And now you find yourself in South Africa. 8 o'clock in the morning, done. There's no wind. Let's go.
Yeah. Or even earlier, like 5 or 6 sometimes.
Is it?
Like, yeah. Or getting sunrise in the morning for a shoot or whatever.
Oh, you can't even.
And then if you've had a big
Jet
day
lag.
before, there's like free booze everywhere. We were staying on a wine farm with the most delicious red wine everywhere. Yeah. And it's like, imagine like, nah, don't want that. No, not really. I'm just going to go to bed. It's like
It's not going to happen.
And you've just done 110 foot jumps that day, and there's 20 insane riders all in one place.
You're
and
like, wow, I've really grown up.
And someone's just turned up this going, boof, 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 and you're like, oh no, don't know, I can go to bed.
So you've come back from arguably the best riding of your life.
I'd sum it up to very close to, if not.
What's happened next? How long you been back? What you been up to?
Been back a month since the crash, but as soon as I got back from DarkFest, it was straight back to coaching. Like the next day.
Really?
What a weird thing going back to normal everyday life.
Yeah. It's almost because I had like over a week off. I had so much to do once I got back, but it was good because it's so different.
Yeah.
And I had like different hair colour and stuff since I've been there. So everyone's like, all DarkFest haircut. And I'm like, yeah, I got back last night at 12 o'clock, and now I'm here at Crowborough teaching you. So that was quite funny, but. Yeah, but it's such a different change of scenery, so it was so nice because DarkFest is an intense week, and coaching someone isn't intense like that. It's just nice.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt on this, but what does your partner, wife?
Wife.
What does she think to all this? Like, what's that like? And how long have you been together? And has she watched this aspect of your career come into play almost, like
it's
with the big air stuff?
Yeah, I've been with her for a long time, so we've been with each other for 13 years now.
Oh wow!
And I met her at a night out clubbing.
Yeah.
And like quite a laddie at the time, probably like whatever, just being a lad or whatever.
Yeah.
Had earrings, had our eyebrow pierced at the time. I think.
The earrings and the eyebrow.
Yeah,
he's fresh off a flight from China.
No,
10 grand in his pocket.
All right, man. No, that was like then. That was quite young. And I just said I was a carpenter. I couldn't be asked to explain that I like biking and stuff.
Yeah.
So she was like sold on me on the pretense that I did carpentry. I think. And then I think I was like, oh yeah, I'm going off to Vienna this weekend. She's like, why are you going to Vienna? I was like, oh, I'm going to Vienna Air King. She's like, what's that? I was like, oh, it's a mountain bike competition.
I'm like, embarrassed.
Yeah, I was like, oh, it's mountain biking. Yes, well, I'm cool. And then that was it. Really, I just sort of said I did biking as well, and she's been on the whole ride with me of like doing a bit of work alongside of
watching it become like a proper career.
Yeah, so yeah, but she's all right with it. She like knows what to expect as such. She's not like, you can't do this or I don't need to do that. It's more like, that is my job, and she knows I'm not stupid. Like,
quite a unique job though, isn't it? It is, isn't it? It really is.
Yeah, but then like you think like a different end of the scale. Her job is she does stuff at allotment. She gets paid for it. That's her job. So it's so different. Like, do you know what I mean? Everyone's job is so weird and wonderful in ways, isn't it? I mean,
it is.
And she can definitely do hers longer than what I can do mine anyway.
Yeah, true that, yeah.
But no, she's totally fine with it. I mean, to be fairly honest, without being horrible, I didn't really speak to her much when I was there. Like, I was focused on what I was doing. I think I had 2 phone calls with her in a week and just kept in touch over WhatsApp every day. Like, I was there to...
You're doing your thing.
Yeah, and
almost.
like I was
You've got
trying
to
to do
stay in the
some
game.
YouTube vids, and like I was making a real effort to put as much content as I could out there.
Yeah.
And I was kind of just focused on that. I didn't really need to, without being rude, make small talk. Like, and like we've been together so long now, you don't need to be like, you know, check they're all right. How was their day? You know, are you doing all right? How's the cats?
As long as she knows you're safe, mate, that's good.
Yeah. Not like what colour underwear you got on today or what did you have for lunch? Not interested.
It's so weird though, isn't it? It's so different. Like, it's good that you only go away for kind of these sort of like 5-day periods and have these like intense experiences, because you're on such, it can be different time frames, but you're on such different like wavelengths. Even if you're riding 110 jumps at 5 in the morning, it's like it's quite hard to even have a discussion about the dishwasher's leaking, or I do think that it's quite a weird one, isn't it? Like
even like saying that to your wife, like she's like, oh, how was the session this morning? Like, I hit the 110 for the first time. And she's like, all right, cool.
There's not much to relate to there, is there? There's not
by
much.
the way, I've run out of dishwasher tablets. Like, can you get some on the way home? Like, it's just ridiculous, really, isn't it? But I mean, when I was younger with Hayley, like, I actually did a month away in California with the Bangers tour kind of thing with like Pilgrim and Reynolds, and I was with her the whole time, and you know, she just accepted that that was a training trip. We were going away to train and film a video, and she was totally fine with it. And so she's always been good with that. And when I was younger as well, it was like every weekend I'd be going away to a comp every weekend without fail, and then I'd come home and, you know, probably get home on a Monday, train on the Tuesday, Wednesday and the Thursday, and either go on Thursday or go on Friday, and that was it for years.
Yeah, mate, it's good on her. Supportive, that's good.
Yeah,
so you're back in the swing of things. You're coaching. You're chilling. You're back in.
Loving life.
Yeah. What happened after that is coming just after the ad. Davey, I feel tired.
Oh,
it's like the world's getting on top of me at the minute.
Is it?
I feel stressed. I feel like
ugly. Oh, sorry.
I do actually. Why'd you say? Yeah, I do. Anyway, I feel, you know, like little things like, I feel like my nails a bit. Yeah, I feel a bit
useless.
Like someone's taken a saturation. They've just turned it down. Yeah. On life, on me.
Yeah.
Do you have any suggestions on how I can pick myself up out of this?
I do, mate. I've got a great suggestion for you, and it's one of the reasons I started taking AG1. Okay.
What's that?
Well, let me tell you a little bit about it. Okay, so AG1 is a nutritional drink. Okay, it's got 75 different vitamins, minerals, and whole food sourced ingredients.
Dude, that must take you so long to make if you have to get 75 different things, pipettes, little bits of powder.
Yeah, loads of different things.
Like leaves and stuff. How long does that take?
It must take forever, but thankfully AG1 have done all that hard work for you. So all you have to do is just open your tub in the morning, put a scoop in, mix it with water. I like to go 50% water, scoop a little bit more water on top.
Okay, yeah.
Shake it up.
Yeah.
Straight down the neck. And you're covered, man. You got all your like vitamins, minerals, whole food sourced ingredients, and it's going to probably alleviate a little bit of that stress, because it's nice to know that you've covered all of your nutritional bases before you head into the day. All right, like you say, your nails are going to feel a little bit better. Your hair's going to start looking a little bit thicker. It probably can't make you better looking, but you can try. There's no harm.
I can try.
There's no harm in giving it a shot, mate.
Is it better? Is it good for your gut?
It's fantastic for your gut. Yeah,
that's what I need. Yeah, mine have been.
Exactly, mate. That little sicky feeling you feel all the time, it's going to start going away. You're not going to feel as anxious. You're not going to feel as nervous.
Mate, is there anything that... Look, I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be that mate, but you got any sort of like codes or offers?
I got something for you, mate. I got a little something for you. Yeah. So if a comprehensive solution is what you need...
It is.
Yeah. For your supplement routine, then try AG1 and get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3.
That's so good, because there's not much sun here and I've got the saturation turned down. That's so good.
Exactly. Okay. And then you're going to get 5 free travel packs as well. So when you travel loads. It's super easy, little pack, rip it off, dump it in some water, give it a shake, straight down your neck.
Where do I go and what do I do?
Okay, you're going to go to drinkag1.com/ridecompanion.
Okay.
That's drinkag1.com/ride companion and check it out. You go there, it's going to do all the work for you. It's going to give you vitamin D. It's going to give you your travel packs, and you're going to get on with your life feeling better than what you do right now. Yeah, exactly. Better than this.
Anything can be better than this. Eh?
Exactly. Thanks, AG1.
Thanks, AG1. So yeah, as we were saying, you're back in the swing of things. You're doing your coaching. You're back at home. You fixed the dishwasher. You've gone out. You've got the dishwasher tablets. Right, life's moving smoothly. You've just come back from the biggest jumps in the world. What happened next?
So yeah, was going to go to Bike Park Wales for Vantajam.
Yeah.
So got the invite to that, and then the day before that, I was going to meet up with Pilgrim actually, and I've not seen Pilgrim for such a long time. Really looking forward to that. And we was going to go to Black Mountain Cycle Centre, which is not called that anymore, is it? What's it called now?
Dirt Farm.
Very and it wasn't open to the public, so we was going to have the place to ourselves, and we're just going to film a YouTube video and have a bit of fun. But on the way, decided to go to Woburn with Sam Reynolds and Matt Jones to ride for 20 minutes. That was the plan. Just a quick stop on the way, 20 minutes. And then we was going to head over to Matt's house and ride pit bikes and do supercars and stuff. That was the plan of the day. And yeah, fourth run in, hit a tree really, really hard and snapped my femur in half. Yeah.
We'll put a little bit of footage here if that's okay?
Yeah.
Just so people know if you've not seen it, if you're a bit squeamish, maybe don't watch it. I mean, it's not that it's going to make you scream.
Or just like watch it through like one eye. With
one eye.
Like a horror film when you just like don't want to watch it, but you're watching it anyway. Yeah.
Oh my! Oh shit! You alright? Oh!
So that's the footage right there, and then what happened? What happens next? So what are you riding? Because I don't know Woburn too well.
So it was a free ride line, which is like not small, not big. And what's more annoying is I've ridden it loads because we filmed a whole video of it before DarkFest of riding the DarkFest bike and setting out ready for it. So I literally ridden that line 80 times. Flipped the jump numerous times that I crashed on, done whips, tricks, whatever. Wasn't a thing. Like crossing the road to me almost without being ridiculous, that jump. And when I was riding it on the day of the crash, it was actually way faster and super, super dry than previous. When I previous rode it as well, I was on a downhill bike, whereas this time I was on just like a little 140 trail bike, so quite fast, quite poppy. And yeah, just went a tiny, tiny bit fast. And what was more funny about all of it is 30 seconds prior to it was walking past it, me and Matt were having a conversation about that exact jump. I was like, I fucking hate that jump. I really hate that jump. It's the worst jump ever. And then literally 20 seconds later almost, it took me out. And I mean, I just don't like that jump in particular because it's a fairly big jump, but it's really steep and short takeoff. So like by the time you get to the end of it, you almost feel like there should be another 2 foot or 1 foot of takeoff. So it's quite almost ends premature and you're like, whoa.
Right.
So whenever I flipped it, I always thought that I always had to pull quite hard for it, and it was always like not that pleasant. But then at the same time, it was like the only jump you could probably flip in the line. So I was like, that was the jump you'd flip to get a photo. That's the jump you'd flip to practice riding the DarkFest bike. But yeah, so I went a tiny bit fast. The bike rotated ever so slightly forward, and at Woburn, because it's super sandy, they had carpets on all the landings, and my front wheel landed just past that carpet into basically a sandcastle.
Right.
And as soon as I landed, the bike just went like a roost, and there was a tree from me to you really, and that was it. I didn't have a chance to brake, didn't have a chance to like like when a crash, you normally actually have a chance to do something like move your body weight, jump off the bike, like you preempt it happening,
make a decision.
But literally, I was just like, wow, and I squealed almost in the air because it was like I could almost like see it happening like in slow motion. And I like clipped the tree with my head, but as I was like going towards it, I like kind of did that. But I feel like if I didn't do that, I would have hit it head on, and honestly thought probably would have died, like the way how hard I hit it. But yeah, kind of clipped it with my head, and then full on thigh, almost as hard as you could into the tree. And that was that. Snapped the femur in half, and instantly like I was kind of in a lot of pain, but I was like, oh no, like what's gone on, because I didn't know that I'd broken my femur. I was like, my leg's dead, can't feel it, can't really move it. And then I tried to move it. I don't know if you've ever broken anything, but you like try and move your foot, and part way in between you feel like something's moving, you can't actually move your foot.
Yeah.
And I was like, I've hit here, I know this is the femur. I've snapped my femur.
You just knew it.
And I was just like, oh no, like I've got so many people booked in for coaching, I've got so many plans with White to do this photo shoot, or we've got this brand new bike coming out next month, and we've got this planned in. And I wasn't like upset about the leg. I was almost just like horrified that I've crashed on the crappiest jump. It was meant to be here for 20 minutes on the way to somewhere else, and I've got so much stuff, important stuff that I want to do and need to do, and now I can't do it.
Yeah.
And I was devastated, like really heartbroken, that I was like, how can this happen? And to be honest, this year's been shit luck for me anyway. Like, had knee surgery in January, which was scheduled, so I had that, was meant to be off for 6 weeks with that, battled through it and come back after 4 weeks, which was cool. Straight back to it.
Yeah.
Then 2 weeks later, I did that.
Yeah, I heard this on an interview. So that was a metal stake?
Metal stake hidden in a trail.
No way.
Sticking out the leaves. And I had like a tiny lay down, which was the most pathetic crash ever. And like just impaled myself on this metal spike. Just missed my artery again in my arm. So if you get that, it's like 3 minutes or something.
Yeah.
Bottom of a massive trail with loads of kids that...
Who are you with when you did the arm?
Just some like kids, basically, like 15-year-olds,
Coaching?
16-year-olds. No, just like...
Right.
It was like a Sunday afternoon, and there's a couple of kids that I knew that was riding with them, and they're like, oh, do you want to pop down? I was like, yeah, sure, why not? Like a couple of chill runs.
Yeah.
And to be honest, they weren't much good. They were just like, oh my God. And it was just like pumping out blood like this.
Just trying to make TikToks.
Yeah.
Fuck off.
And I fell on something. I was like, oh, that hurts. And then I lifted my arm up and saw a bit of like iron bar, and I was like, oh my God, I bet that's in my arm, isn't it? And I literally pulled my arm off it.
Oh.
Like impaled in my arm. So I like wrapped it up best I could, and drove myself to A&E.
Did you? Yeah.
Yeah, luckily I had an auto as well, so I was just kind of just like, it was fairly chill, but yeah, just like I had a massive first aid kit in my van anyway from coaching, so like wrapped it all up and just drove myself there, and then waited 12 hours in A&E to...
So that was this year too, early this year?
Yeah, so that was that. And then come back, I was back for... When did I do that? Back for a couple of months or a month, and then did the femur. So yeah, it's not been a good year for injuries.
Mate, threes, you know, it's done now. Hopefully.
But the thing is as well, like in my whole career, I feel like I've always been quite calculated and never really touched wood as well, had that much stuff, and then all of a sudden you just go bang, 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 bang. But I think it's part of it, isn't it? Crashes happen, unfortunately.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely.
What have you put it down to, the femur one? Because I know you will have, as someone who like thinks about it loads.
Why did it happen?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, slightly too fast, and then hitting that sand, and then it shoot me towards the tree.
Yeah. But it's always when... Probably both those two instances are like when you're like well within your comfort zone, aren't they? You know,
100%, yeah.
Like, because it just seems bizarre that you come back from like what you've just been doing. That's what's crazy, and you ride all the time, and you're completely with it. That's what I think as well. I think quite often
But someone said to me as well,
when
like, was it like he wasn't warmed up enough or whatever? And I thought, well, no, it wasn't, because sometimes at DarkFest, if the weather was good, we'd get an uplift straight to the top, and first run of the day, we'd drop straight into do a top to bottom run.
Yeah.
You're not really warmed up for that, but maybe your senses are heightened slightly because you know it's quite big. I don't know, but I was just having fun with friends, and it severely went to not having fun just like that. And that's the crazy thing about life, isn't it? And that actually has changed my perspective on life as well after the accident. Like,
has it really?
Yeah, massively. I mean,
what are the major takeaways that you take away, like, from this
life's
injury?
not granted. You know, you
fucking true, man.
Man, you could go to sleep and not wake up again.
You know what? It's funny, like, you know, not to bring this back to me, but I had a similar one 2 years ago, out riding on my own, just chilling after we did Freedom Ride here, super on a high, like we had the best weekend ever. I've gone home, e-bike, cruising around the woods, literally cruising, it's flat, and hit a tree, and next thing I'm in an air ambulance. And you're just like, what the, like, just a slight, I don't even know, I don't really remember much about it, but yeah, 10 ribs, shoulder blade. Like,
ribs aren't good, are they, as well?
Oh, it sucked, dude. It sucked real hard, a few months in bed and stuff. But anyway, yeah, it's just similar in a way. You know, you just like a little lapse of concentration, you're just chilling, and next thing you know, you're like, how? And I had a similar feeling of being on the floor just going like, I've got so much to do. How has this happened now? I'm just cruising around on my own. Yeah, I was on my own as well, which was gnarly.
I'm sorry to hear it. It's like hearing someone else's horrible experience is nuts as well, and that's what's come through this injury as well. I've had so many nice messages and support, and like people messaging me like, oh, I've done this, and you know, I recovered from this, I took this which helped my recovery, I did these vitamins, I did this, I did this.
What I like that you're doing too, obviously you're documenting the journey, which is something that I think as a creative person you need an outlet, don't you? You're like, right, how do I stay busy? And I did the same thing. I started documenting it and being real honest about like pain medication and pain basically, and like the mental health side of it for me was
massively
pretty rough. Even though you've gone from living a really active life and doing all this and that, and then all of a sudden you're in bed and it's like you've been weighted on hand and foot. Someone's literally having to wipe your ass and like get you to the bathroom and this, you know, and stuff. So I like that you've done that. 'Cause you know, you talk about everything with the sport and being marketable and being relatable. When you show the shit side of the sport as well, I think that's really good. You know, and it shows that you're more relatable as well.
But I think everyone's had a crash though, haven't they?
They have. It's relatable content, and some of the, you know, the nicest comments we've had through the YouTube channel now is some of those videos that I put up. Not the nicest, but like a lot of comments came back of people that have watched it and gone, shit, I've had this injury, I'm going through it now, and what you've put out has really helped me, because you know you can see a light at the end of this dark tunnel that you're in for a little while.
Oh, massively, like it's a huge trauma injury that I had, and you know, I went riding for 20 minutes a spot, and then I was in hospital for 10 days afterwards. Like, you just you can't comprehend it, can you? Like, from such a, especially like you said as well, like going from DarkFest, where you could probably believe it to happen there.
Yeah.
You know, like there's been 2 riders that broke their femur at DarkFest. Yeah. And that's how I also know, once I did crash, I was like, shit, you know, a femur's not a good one to break. It's the biggest bone in your body. It's meant to be the most painful bone you can break in your body. Femoral artery runs through it, and people die from breaking their femur. So I'm like lying on the floor thinking, got a lot to do, but also this is not good. Like, oh no, this is really bad. And that's kind of why in the video I'm kind of like, oh no, like I just can't, like you said, just can't believe it happened.
Yeah. So what was that? What happened after? So you laid there, done the femur. We've seen it on the video that's been up. So you've got Sam and Matt trying to help you. Yeah, Sam and Matt were really good. Yeah. Matt firstly came over and goes, "Daz, you got a dead leg." I was like, I don't think so. Sam was like, "It's kind of dead." No, I think it's a bit. I think he's broke his femur. But so quite a funny story. Earlier that morning, a kid came up to us and wanted a photo. So we had this photo of this kid who was a fan of us, and anyway, it transpires that he was there with his mum, and she was like the first person to come over to me once I crashed. Right. And she was the head of the medical services for the whole of like the International Army. She couldn't have been like a better person to be there. Wow. And she was fantastic. Like, really? She stayed with me for the whole, like that. It took the ambulance like an hour and a half to get there. Did it? She stayed with me for the whole time, like stroking my hair, like just being phenomenal, like making sure I didn't move my leg because you could nick the artery doing that, so keeping that perfectly still. And I kept in contact with her like all through the injury, like and yeah, I mean, it was incredible what she did for me. Just didn't even know her, like, but stayed with me for such a long period of time and was so lovely and made the experience better. Was telling me how to breathe because she knows all these techniques. She was like pinching different parts of my body to try and take my mind off what happened, and like she's just amazing to be there, because obviously Sam and Matt are like my best friends, and it was great that they're there, but they don't have a Scooby-Doo what to do with someone who's got a snap femur, do they? So they're like kind of on the phone to the ambulance, like, you do know he has a broken femur, you do know it's like really bad, like you should kind of be here sooner than what you are. Like, so I didn't have any painkillers for an hour and a half, and then the first lot that came, they weren't qualified to give me anything apparently. So was it, I know it's a silly question, but was it painful? Yeah. How bad? I don't really know. Like, I don't remember the pain being that much of a thing. Like, I've got a very high pain threshold, but I mean, I don't really remember it being that painful. All I remember is me being totally heartbroken. Just like, shit, why? The pain in the heart is worse than the pain in the leg. Honestly, it was, yeah. But the pain, like the pain that I'm having now, and the pain following it that day, that night, the next day was unreal. Yeah. Like, so they actually put it back in situ, in like a splint.
Whilst you were there?
Yeah. On
painkillers by this point?
That little pen thing that I said about, whatever it's called, do you remember? I think they call it a whistle in Australia. Yeah. But I don't know what the... X-Pronox or something. I mean, I can find it on my phone, but I'm not going to do that now. Yeah. But anyway, it's only just come back into the ambulance that they can use it in the UK, because it's so gnarly. When like people were using it, it was making the ambulance people like high.
You don't want that, do you?
So I was on that when they did it, and then they pulled it back in place.
Why?
And that was.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do. He's like, this is going to hurt. But by that time, I probably had quite a lot of good stuff, so it wasn't that bad. But that was like the specialist heart team, they call it, and they came from a different county that were like more qualified to deal with it.
Not going to nick the artery sort of thing.
Yeah. So there was going to be a heli in because it was hard to get me out, and then those guys were closer, so they brought them in. And he was an Aussie that was doing it, and then Matt said he was absolutely fantastic. Just like, right, put the cannula in, do that, put this in, and it just like completely took control of the whole situation and was really, really good.
Those people you really appreciate. Like when something like that happens, you really appreciate having someone like that around, don't
just
you?
Just to take control and just
calm,
do the right stuff.
Measured, like have a just know what they're doing is so important, isn't it? Like
when you're in that sort of vulnerable situation, too, that person that just takes control. I remember a similar thing with mine, you know, of just a bloke who has just had it under control.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't really know he was good or not. Matt just said he was good. Like, I was out of it. Like, but so
how did he get you out of the woods?
Stretcher.
So no heli involved.
No,
thankfully.
that didn't come in the end. No.
Okay.
Stretchered out, ambulance to Milton Keynes Hospital, and then kind of left in the corridor for a little while. Just like it was junior doctor strike, I think, that day, and there wasn't a lot going on.
Right.
So I was kind of just like, no one came with me for some reason, so I was by myself, and just sort of dropped off, and that was that really. Like, didn't have a call bell, didn't have anything going on. I was just kind of like lying in loads of pain in a splint, just with nothing going on. And then they couldn't operate that day. So then I had surgery the following day, but in that process, in the night, the splint had come loose and it come back out.
What, it wasn't in place anymore?
No, so it was back to how it was. So then the next day when I had...
Could you feel that?
No.
You couldn't feel it?
No, the leg honestly was like 10 times the size it is now. You've never seen anything like it. It was almost like a steel acro as well, like it didn't bend.
Right.
It was just like completely pointless. It was absolutely massive. I could barely see any of this. Everything was so swollen.
Like your junk?
Yeah. It's literally inside me, yeah.
Like a sumo wrestler.
I had like numbing injections all around here as well. Like I had 4 numbing injections to numb the pain. Couldn't feel anything whatsoever like in that area. It was just a pointless leg at that time.
Yeah.
So then had surgery the next day. That should have taken 60 minutes, but it took 3.5 hours. And the reason it took so long is because apparently my thigh muscles were so strong for the years of riding that they struggled to get it back in situ. So they had to get more people and machines to like try and pull it back out, and they couldn't. So then they had to like make the incision bigger. Then all the muscle like prolapsed out the side, and I lost loads of blood. I think I lost like 1.6 litres or more of blood, which is a lot. So the surgery took way longer than it should have done. But he said the surgery went fantastic. Right. So normally when you...
when you say he said it went fantastic, you mean he was lying a bit?
Well, yeah, did. Well, I mean, the surgery actually went good, but there were sides to it that didn't go good. Okay. So the alignment was fantastic. Yeah. The way that the bone had broken was relatively good compared to, like we spoke about earlier off camera, of how recent people that have broke their legs as well, broke their femur, and it's not been as clean as this one. But he said the alignment was fantastic. So a lot of times I've seen people broke their femur, which we spoke about earlier. It's like a car with a load of camber up front. Yeah. You know, they're walking along with a leg like that, or one's longer than the other. Where he was like, the alignment's really good. The titanium rod that goes from my hip to my knee was perfect. He said, I'm really happy with how it's lined up. Right. But what didn't go that well is that they should have really given me a blood transfusion because of the amount of blood that I lost. And so the surgery went good, as it could have gone, apart from taking longer, etc. And then the next day I kind of got to a point where I was all right, and then I started to like go downhill quite rapidly after that, and that was because my I had internal bleeding, which they didn't find. All my cuts were oozing really badly. I was on blood thinners when I shouldn't have been, and I should have had this blood transfusion. So I had the blood transfusion 4 days later after I collapsed 4 times, and my blood levels got so like low that I looked like a ghost basically.
Really?
And then alongside that...
What do you mean you collapsed? Like you just got in and out of consciousness?
Yeah, just literally just was collapsing, and then I went delirious as well, because another thing that happened, I should have had a catheter fitted, because obviously everything's numb around here, so you can't wee. And not only that, like my leg was 10 times the size it was. I'm lying in bed flat, you can't move, you're in loads of pain, and you can't feel anything. How can you wee anyway?
Yeah.
Not the fact you've just come around from surgery. So I didn't wee for like such a long period of time. I should have had a catheter. So at that time I was going delirious because I couldn't wee. So like I think
you're on an IV too, so they're putting fluids into you,
and
but
they were
it's not
telling me
coming
like
back out.
you need to drink lots of water. You need to drink lots of water, and they kept telling me drinking water, and I was like, well, I haven't actually been for a wee yet, and I was in so much pain from that. So then I went delirious, and I think like 6 hours or 7 hours after surgery, I literally stood up. I told Hayley and my dad to get out of the room because I was going mental, and I tried to walk to the toilet, and I literally collapsed, hit my head on the side, like just from that. So then Hayley was like crying to them, like, you need to get a catheter, and he hasn't been for a wee for so long. So then they scanned my belly, and they said, it's completely full. And then I had the catheter fitted, which took 5 hours after they did that to do it. And I had 1,200 ml of urine in my bladder, when you should really have like 400 to 600 max. So my like bladder nearly exploded.
So dangerous that, isn't it?
Yeah, so
bladder
like
explodes is super bad.
Yeah, like not only was that was ongoing, but obviously all the other stuff was going on. Like didn't have enough blood in my body in the first place. I had internal bleeding. My cut was oozing out everywhere. I had 55 staples in my leg, and they were all like pissing out the blood all over the side of it.
Wow.
So yeah, and then even small things like they put me on codeine. And when you take codeine, you should have laxatives as well because it blocks you up.
Yeah.
So I took codeine for 4 days with no laxatives, which I don't know why they didn't give them to me. So the first time I tried to go to the toilet as well, I had low blood pressure, collapsed again, trying to go for a poo because I couldn't go.
Like a breeze block in there.
Well, yeah, and like my legs like so big. I'm trying to sit on the toilet, and because it's so big, I'm honestly like this, and I'm like, but is it even going to go in the toilet? Like I'm like this, like. And it was just like a catalogue of things that actually was worse than breaking the leg in a way, which were unavoidable, which was a bit annoying because like I should have been in hospital for 3 days with a broken femur, and I was literally in there for 10 with all this.
Did it feel like no one was listening to you almost? Like,
it's tough to say because like I love the NHS. They've like sewn me up so many times. They've supported me. Like it seems fantastic that we have it, but it just seemed like small little things that could have been avoided weren't avoided, which was annoying because...
And too many of them.
Yeah, and I honestly felt like I was dying. Like, I'm not over-exaggerating, that's how I felt, and like you could see it in my dad and Hayley's face that they were so worried about me, and like Hayley had to... If Hayley wasn't there and like nagging for the treatment, then it would have gone even worse because then I wouldn't have got the catheter when I said she had to go in the hallway and start crying to get it and stuff. So one thing I would say for anyone that has an accident or is someone that has an accident, you have to push all the time.
Yeah.
And it's not because they don't want to help you. Of course they want to help you, but they don't think they have the resources all the time because they're so overstretched. It's not like they want you to be in pain or want to do something wrong. They just physically can't. So you've got to have that person to nag. You've got to have that someone who knows you and can look at you and go, Daryl's definitely not right. Like, you know, there's something wrong with him. And anyway, once I had the blood transfusion, that was it. My blood levels were picking up and I started to peak and I started to get better, and then...
And a transfusion is where they put more blood into your body, right?
Yes, I had two
a little
lots
top
of
up,
it.
basically.
Yeah, so I think if it's not too bad, they give you 1 quart or whatever it is now. I had two quarts. And then at that time as well, I had observations every hour. Was taken off the blood thinners and was put on blood thickeners because there was a huge risk of blood clots. And then also what I had as well, there's these crazy vibrating socks, which were literally, they're like shin pads, you know, like TSG shin pads or whatever like that. They were like those, but they were vacuum pumped. So it was like 1 on each shin, and they'd go inflate with air to pull the blood back up, and then go pff, and that would go every 15 seconds.
Really? So it's literally squishing blood back up?
Yeah. Wow. So I had that on, I had observations every hour. My leg was obviously in so much pain and just like a pointless brick. So like I didn't sleep for 2 days because I had those on for 2 days straight. So I was just like, and I ended up being in hospital for basically 9.5, 10 days. So it felt like I was in there forever. As I was leaving, like they were like, oh, we want to keep you in another day because it's still oozing a little bit. And I was like, no, get me out now. I'm lit. If you're not staying, I'm going anyway. Like I'm going off. Like Yeah, and I mean, it felt like I was in there for months and months, and
Mate,
it
I
was
can imagine.
9 days. But
So that's 6 weeks ago.
6 weeks and 1 day.
And he walked into the studio today. Round of applause.
Yeah, and only got one crutch now.
Dude, up and down the stairs. Really impressive that is.
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah, so I've had a lot of help with treatment on the way. Like I said, through people giving me tips.
Yeah.
Like a guy broke his femur, didn't know him, and he's like, "These are the vitamins you need to take. You need to be taking calcium tablets. You need to be doing this. You need to be doing that." I never met him before. He's like, "Here's a really cool bit of kit, like a leg lift, so you can pick your leg up to get into the car.
Wow.
Here's a massive, like a lovely pillow that you can put into your legs."
Best thing you can do is talk to people.
Yeah,
it's the
it is.
best thing. It's
and
like,
it was so heartwarming that people that I've never spoke before cared so much. And it like brought a tear to my eyes. Like, I can't believe people being so friendly. Like, what have I done to deserve you to be so nice to me?
But I guess the thing is that they've done whatever you're. When you go through something like gnarly, I feel like it is like.
Yeah. And also the fans, like you've brought value to their life. They've enjoyed watching you a lot, and you know they it's mate, I can relate to it 'cause I had a similar thing. Like you know, and I don't do the bikey thing or anything like you know. I'm not a pro rider, but when I was injured, the amount of messages and people that were really
so
supportive,
nice,
and like it's just sending you stuff of like buy this, do that. You just like blown away by it all.
Yeah, I had random people turn up to the hospital. Just that I've never met before, and he was like, gave me protein shakes, he gave me like yogurts and stuff, like gave me MBUK magazine.
How
like,
cool is
and,
that?
Like, it's just I never met him before. And
mountain bikes around the window.
That's crap. I even had Woburn in it. I was like, no, get out. But yeah, it's just so nice. Like I couldn't believe it. And then the woman that carried me down to one of the surgeries, I had to have a CAT scan because when I had the internal bleeding, I have shortcutted some of the story. One, because I can't remember it all now, and two, because you'd be so bored. But I had like severe internal bleeding. They didn't know if I was going to have another surgery to go in there to see where it was coming from. So I went to have like a full CAT scan. They pumped like liquid into your veins to see where it's coming out. And she was the woman that took me down to that, and she recognised me, and her son was a massive fan.
Oh, wow.
And then she came the next day and bought me chocolates and a card from her son and stuff. It was just amazing.
So cool.
Like,
so nice.
Like, just people were nice. So.
Rad community, man, out there.
It is cool, and like the amount of messages I've had and the support. So it's been good.
Yeah.
But I mean, it has only been like 6 weeks, but it still again feels like.
What does the road look like moving forward? Like how long are you going to be out?
I don't really. It's a tough one because no one actually tells you an actual real time schedule of when it should or shouldn't. Because one, I guess everyone's bodies are different, and two, it depends what you're doing.
Yeah.
Like how proactive are you? What are you eating? How much are you drinking? What vitamins are you taking? What food are you eating? What treatments are you having? Like, I go to Winchester like twice a week, which is a 2.5 hour drive for me to go to an oxygen treatment.
Oh, awesome. This is the thing, like with athletes as well, you're going to put the energy into it now. Like, you're not going to just sit around and wait. It's like, no, what can I do? What can I take?
And for your mental health as well.
Mate,
like,
100%.
Feeling proactive is big.
Yeah, I've had dark days and good days, and I think anyone could sit on the sofa and just drink beers all day, or watch TV and not proactively do something. But you do feel like that some days, and Definitely. That's okay to feel like that. It's all right to have a down day. It's all right to have a cry. It's all right to, not feel good. But you've got to think, one, it could have been worse. I could have just died, and then that would have been bad for Matt and Sam, wouldn't it? To be there and witness that. And like life's short, like you've got to go out there and live it and make the most and grab it by two hands. And if you're there feeling sorry for yourself, then
yeah, for sure.
So but yeah, being proactive with your treatment. So yeah, going to have those oxygen treatments, which gets the blood flow, increases the blood going to the cells and heals stuff quicker. Like all the top boys, Kenny Roxon and that, use them. Michael Jackson used to sleep in one apparently.
Did he? Yeah.
Apparently that was too much though.
Yeah.
That was like, it's too much of a good thing, sometimes. He used to just sleep in this oxygen chamber.
And a boy.
Oh, he had to.
No, he didn't.
So yeah, and then I'm seeing a physio twice a week. I've got a massage guy that comes around and massages it all to sort it all out, and I'm just trying to get back as quick as I can, really.
Amazing. Throw everything at it.
Yeah, I said to coaching wise, I'm going to try and come back from the 1st of August, which is a month and a bit. Could
you do some not on a bike?
Yeah, I could do that. Yeah, I mean, I don't like that style personally. Like, I'm always on a bike when I coach, and I follow as well and stuff like that. But I went on the bike for a first time yesterday, on my e-bike, so I picked my leg up to get onto it. Like loads of pain.
Did you really go on an e-bike yesterday?
Yeah, yeah.
6 weeks after?
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah, so that was like
so
really,
sick.
really cool. And I had it in full assist, and I just like rotating the legs.
Yeah.
So I used the
better
seat
than
dropper to
nothing.
actually lift myself up because I can't stand up. So I like used the dropper to pull myself up, and did like a 5-minute ride.
Oh,
Well
so
done,
good
mate.
for you though, yeah.
White have gave me a brand new gravel bike as well to use, but because it's so tall and it doesn't have like a drop frame, like like an mountain bike, I can't get on it.
Yeah.
So at some point I want to get onto the gravel bike as well. But yeah, it feels good to like. It's a massive mental thing as well, getting back on a bike after crashing on a bike, even if you're dicking around in front of your house.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
Like, I mean, you've had loads of injuries as well, and like the first time that especially with your ankle, that was bad, wasn't it?
Yeah, and it's just so good once you start and once you're motivated, it just makes time go like.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I think it's one of the best things about. Like I can't imagine having an injury and not having biking to get back to. So like having an injury and not having something to work towards is we're super lucky in that respect.
Yeah.
As much as it's a bit of a curse and like biking hurts you, it also gets you back amongst it, doesn't it?
Yeah, I guess if you had a crap job in an office, you had no hobbies whatsoever, and you hate your job, what would be the point in getting better?
Exactly.
You'd probably try and drag it out because you don't have to go to work.
You don't have to go to work. Yeah, exactly. We like want to go back, want to do more stuff.
But that would not yet wouldn't feel good, would it? At least you're going to feel rocket charged when you're on your gravel bike, and
Imagine doing the first wheelie or going up a curb. It's going to be crazy,
it's
man.
gonna happen.
So sick.
We'll have to get you back on for it. Look forward to hearing about it.
Yeah.
For sure. Dude, thank you so much. We've been going on about trying to make this happen, haven't we? So stoked we finally got you in here to chat. I feel like there's more we could do, but we're good.
Yeah, I mean, thanks for having me on. And I think it's so good to talk about bad experiences in life, I guess. It's not all roses, is it?
Too right.
It's not all roses.
We should get you on again for some roses, though.
Yeah.
Mate, I actually feel bad. I can't believe it's 6 weeks. I'll call you up like, do you want to...
It drove here as well. It's insane.
Yeah, I luckily got an auto. So
Yeah.
Manual will be a bit different. But
Hyped to see you back amongst it.
I'm can't wait to get back,
If people don't, where do they follow you? What can we expect to see?
Yeah, Instagram, Daryl Brown MTB.
Yep.
YouTube, just Daryl Brown.
Yep.
I've got all the videos of
I love that you're documenting it, man. I really do.
Yeah, check those out if you want a bit more detail and a bit more gory photos and like horrible stuff. But
hyped. All right, man. Thank you so much.
Big thanks.
Thank you everyone for watching and listening. We appreciate you. Of course, don't forget to hit
peace and love, everyone.
like and subscribe.
Dude, I know I say this every time, but that was honestly one of the best episodes.
So good.
Wasn't it?
Mate, no doubt people have watched this, they've enjoyed it, and they want to hang out with us more. So here's a few options, right? You can watch another clip.
That's above, isn't it?
Yeah. You can watch another clip.
That's over there.
Subscribe.
Behind me.
Or go to the comment section and maybe come on holiday with us.
Dude, of course, they can come on holiday. We're going away to Mexico for 8 days riding to Oaxaca this Christmas. Click the link in the description.
Yeah, we want to go with you.
See you there. That was good.